So, start. Welcome to Granddads Corner. I'm Thurston Moore. I'm a 58-year-old dad. Someday I'll be a real granddad. But seeing as I'm sitting here in Granddads Corner, I'm a de facto granddad today. And yeah, I'm going to tell a story about in the 60s, way back when all of us granddads were around. I was a little kid, and I think my introduction to rock and roll was seeing some band play in the cafeteria in my little Catholic elementary school I was going to, St. Mary's School in South Miami, Florida, which is where my family was living. And I saw these guys playing music, and I thought it was really cool, and we all sort of would whisper about like what we liked about it, but I didn't know anything about rock and roll. Sort of heard about the Beatles and things like this, and this must have been the mid-60s. You know, the Beatles started happening around 63, so they were still kind of fresh-faced. I was a little kid, and I remember my brother, who is 5 years older than I am, came home with the first rock and roll record in our house, because the only records we had in our house were classical records that my father played, because my father was a classical musician, he's a pianist. So that's what I knew about records, and he came home with this record, and the record was this single called Louie Louie, and it just sounded great. And everybody knows Louie Louie. Louie is like a complete epitome of rock and roll in the 60s. And you know that riff, it's like... So that's Louie Louie, right? And so he kept playing that over and over again, and I just was really amazed by like how cool it sounded. And he said that he was the one who made the record, and so I was a little suspicious of this, but I had no other reason really to disbelieve him. So I had it in my mind that my brother had made this record, and he kept playing it, and he would open the door and stick his head out of his bedroom while he was playing it, and he would mouth the words Louie Louie. But you know, the words to that song are just really unknown. It's just, the song sort of originates as a bit of a Caribbean song about kind of like hanging out, drinking coconut water or something. But the way it was sung by the Kingsmen, who actually did make that record, the song sort of is indecipherable lyrically, and so there's all this conjecture that the singer and the Kingsmen was singing some very lascivious lyrics, which made the song even more exciting. But you never knew what those lyrics were, and so with my brother kind of mouthing the lyrics, he could have been singing anything, and it was like it would have made sense, because nobody knew what the lyrics to that song were, except for the chorus of, you know, Louie Louie, you know, which is sort of like... So that's all we knew, like Louie Louie, we gotta go now. And of course the coolest part of the song is at some point when the singer goes like, all right, let's give it to him with the singing. Like I said, you know, I don't really know how to play real guitar, so I'm only approximating like how a real guitarist would play a real song like this. I only know how to play like harsh noise industrial guitar, and everything else is kind of I make up my own chords, my own tunings and such. So, but someday I'd like to learn how to play like this kind of stuff. So I always believed my brother that he sang that song, for the longest time, and I finally figured out that it wasn't his song when we were with my mother in some department store in the 60s, and he wanted to get another record, and he was looking at the bigger records, like the LPs, and I was like, wow, that's kind of a real investment there. And I remember being a little boy and my brother pulling out a record, and it was a compilation record, and it had all these like hits on it, and all the songs were like Louie Louie. There was like Wooly Bully and Holy Goly, and so I was always attracted to these songs. As like Tommy James had a song called Moni Moni, which I always thought was really good. So I realized like, oh, well, maybe that's not him. But the coolest thing about that single is I still have it. I think it has a BB gun hole through it. We used to throw records in here and shoot them with BB guns. This is how I really sound. So yeah, Louie Louie was was big news for me, and it still is. Especially the B-side of that 7-inch is an instrumental, and it's called Haunted Castle. And it was kind of, in a way, Haunted Castle had this, and I could never play it on guitar for you. I can maybe find it. It's just like, it's a simple little thing. It's like, yeah, so it just had that kind of riff, like, really cool. And then every time I go, so the keyboard would go, and that was Haunted Castle. It was just an instrumental, a lot of reverb, and it was really eerie and kind of evocative. And to this day, I always look at that Haunted Castle as like, it informs everything I do musically like that. It's like that kind of, that kind of chord change, and it's like what I want to sort of accomplish musically. It all goes back to the B-side of Louie Louie, Haunted Castle. So it's a very precious record for me, and it's kind of a milestone in my relationship with my brother, who actually is a really, really accomplished real guitarist. Like, he shreds, and he used to. But you should talk to him about that. He's older than I am. He's much more of a granddad. I have a daughter. My daughter Coco is 22 years old, and maybe someday I'll be like an official granddad. But I have an old dad story about that, because I used to play lots of sort of noisy stuff in my basement, and sometimes my daughter would have to flick the lights on and off to sort of get my attention, or just scream like, "Dad!" down the stairs to get my attention. And as she got older, around 13 years old, she started playing music with some of her school friends. And they had this cool band, and she was kind of singing. And at one point, they were down in the basement themselves, and they were making all this noise with the guitars, just sort of. Feedback, stuff like this, So, after a while, which I thought was really fantastic, and after a while she came upstairs and she sat down and she said, noise music is only good if you're the one making it. And I thought that was a brilliant kind of thing to say, even though I kind of, I think it's worthy of debate and discussion, but it was such an incredible thing for a 13-year-old to say, to somebody like me. Anyway, it's nice to be here in grandfather's chair, making a racket. Thank you for having me.